but our host already asked. I hope I'll try that you won't sleep during my presentation. Today, I will be talking about cloud computing and DevOps. Uh, it's a very vast topic, but I will try to relate it with most of the use cases which we use in our day-to-day life and during our deployments and compliance. I will try to relate all these 3 points. So even if you see today, even to deploy AI solutions, you need help of cloud and DevOps. Now, why everyone is talking about clouds and DevOps? Because numbers don't lie. One of the major factor you can see, there is a survey done by Gartner, and it says by 2025 there will be $1 trillion will be spent on cloud infrastructure. 90% of organizations will rely on cloud infrastructure. The reason is the benefit it gives. DevOps adoption. Uh, so we'll talk about in more detail, but by using DevOps, people and organization, they are able to deploy to productions very fast. And when I say very fast, it is 208 more frequently. Next is compliance. So speed, scale, both things are okay. But what about compliances, security? Like you build the solution, you deployed it, but government changed the policy. Now how you will adopt to it? So we'll try to sync all these 3 topics. So this is the same thing what I'm covering today. One is cloud computing. We'll see one case study how Netflix did it. Second is DevOps, how DevOps can help us in faster releases and improve the collaboration between different teams. So we'll discuss one example of Amazon and compliance. So how to have a balance between governance and innovation. So we'll talk a brief about how people take care of GDPR, HIPAA, and multiple other global compliance. So this is a very basic slide about the cloud. So generally there are 3 types of clouds: public cloud, private clouds, and hybrid cloud. I think most of you are already aware of it. But just one thing I want to add is private cloud are mostly used where because of the compliance, because it is not cost effective. But it is required. It is required especially in healthcare domain and in security, like government. Those type of purpose we use the private cloud. There are some organizations who use hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud examples can be a payment industry where government says, okay, Indian customer card details should not go outside India. So those people go with hybrid cloud. There's one more right now people are talking about is, so all these slides are not having any word AI, but like Google Cloud, they have launched AI in multiple regions. But in Middle East, those solutions are not available. So people need to compromise between what solutions, what your cloud provider is providing. So that's the place where hybrid cloud helps. Now, coming to this part, so everyone says clouds are important for scaling. But why? These are the 3 reasons. First is auto scaling. So consider a scenario. You are running an e-commerce website. On Diwali, there is a sale, and your website crashed. Your boss will call, your CFO will say, he will be sad because there is a revenue loss. And obviously, bad customer experience. So cloud can help us in auto scaling. Auto scaling can, so generally people use 3 types of detection mechanism, like if my CPU increase, if my memory usage increase, or if my traffic increase. And based on that, they trigger and they add more hosts to it. Second part is cost efficiency, which is pay as you go. Most of you are aware of on-demand instances, reserved instances, on-spot instances, right? So cloud can give you those flexibility that when there is a peak, you can scale your infrastructure, but when there is no traffic or less traffic, you can descale your traffic, and hence you can save your money, because most of the cloud provider provide this facility like pay as you go. One of the good example, but it is valid for startup companies. So developers do the deployment during the odd times, but development and QA, those things happens during the daytime. So when you are using your infrastructure, you can scale it, but during the night time, you can descale it, or you can downgrade it. Now, the question arises, this can be done with normal EC2 machines also. Like whenever we are going to stop it, we can shut down our infra, and then we can, so why we need DevOps? So DevOps can help you in automate. Like it can work on, it can detect, like if there is any traffic, and it can downgrade automatically. When there is a higher traffic, it can scale your infra. So that is the benefit. Next is global reach. So I'm from a healthcare domain. We operate in Middle East, and our tech team sits in India. We are able to deploy in Saudi and UAE region just because of this global reach. We can deploy, we can replicate the same infra without having a dedicated hardware there. We can just ask any cloud provider, we can scale our infra, and by using code as an infrastructure, we can deploy, and that's it. We can launch maybe within few days. Now we'll talk about like Netflix. So you might be aware, Netflix serves more than 300 million customers as of January 2025. And their spikes comes whenever they release a new series, during the weekends, evenings, and during any festive seasons. So how they handle? So one standard solution is like they can scale the infra for 300 million users, but they will end up in spending more. So how they solve it? They migrated their complete infra to the AWS cloud to ensure elastic scalability. They implemented auto scaling. So the three factors which I told you, traffic, CPU, memory. They use multiple other factors also to manage internally, but on a high level, these things. Whenever the demand drops, for example, odd times, or in a specific region, they can downgrade and save money. Now, what is the outcome of it? They can save cost by keeping 100% uptime. Now, scale is done. Now it comes speed. So DevOps comes with 8 pointers, like plan, develop, build, test, release, deploy, operate, and monitor, and then repeat. Plan and develop. It means whenever there is any business requirement, connect it with the code, convert it into the code. Right now we can use AI to convert it to the code. That's a separate thing. Then build and test. So if you see with any standard or a startup, how they do? They write a code, they do git push, they deploy, they restart the server, and service runs. How many of you have seen this scenario? I pushed my code, app is working fine, but customers are still complaining. The customers are complaining because the older version of the app is not able to consume the new API response because some of the fields are changed. So the customer experience is broken. DevOps can help in fixing this. One easy way people can suggest by doing the testing. But if your app has 15 or 20 versions, who is going to do all these testing? We can have integration testings, and DevOps can help in it. Then release and deploy. Now, when I say release and deploy, it means when your customer base is huge, you have, say, 50 servers serving your traffic. So you can deploy to one instance, then see whether there are any exceptions which are coming, whether there are some errors which have come, or we can launch those to any beta customers. And we can monitor it and then take some action based on the feedback. Now, these are the benefits which I was talking about. We can improve the development cycle by 50%, and all these numbers are taken from the surveys. Now, someone can say, how I can recover like 2,600 times faster from the failures by using the DevOps. So consider this example when I said like you have the 50 instances, and in one of the server you are seeing some error. So by seeing those errors, you can revert your build. If we are not using the DevOps, the whole new build will be deployed to all the servers, and that might cause a downtime or a bad experience for all those users. So that's why it's 2600x it came. And this is the recent survey which was done. Now the key benefits: automation, continuous delivery, collaboration, and scalability. I want to share one example of the collaboration. So consider developer build any solution. It gives to a team, can you deploy this? I have tested, it is working in my local. Then QA tested team it says, no, it is not working. And when it goes to the manager says, why it is not working? Sir, it was working, I tested it yesterday, but it is not working on QA. Then there's sometimes QA team says, no, it is working, but on production it is not working. Customer is complaining. The reason is, there can be multiple reasons. One is a different environment. They can be API signature mismatch. So all these collaborations, it can be improved with the help of DevOps. Now let's take example of Amazon. So I think it's 2 years back when they published a blog, and they said like, we are doing a deployment every 11.7 seconds. And it is related to all the interrelated microservices. Now, how they do? So their ecosystem, consider there are 2,000 microservices, and one microservice they want to make a deployment. They did the deployment. Now, traditional way is they need to take a heads up from all the 2,000 microservices owner, like, I'm making this change, are you okay? That is not feasible, right? So how to do it is, they deploy it to on a staging or beta environment, and then there are some integration test runs. There are compliance related tests which are run, and it automatically detects whether it is fine or not, whether it is backward compatible or not. So those integration tests also needs to be written, but once it is written, it will be there forever. There is no manual intervention. When it passed that stage, then it goes to the production. So same thing, like they shifted to the microservice architecture, they implemented CI/CD, and it's a long back. And their automated monitoring, it ensured that there is a zero downtime. Just 4 or 5 years back, there's a huge, like Flipkart, Amazon, all of them having sales, flash sales. You might not have seen Amazon going down anytime. It is just because they rely on automation. They invest very heavily on monitoring, and they ensure that there is a zero downtime. Now the outcome is same. One outcome is which people realize later is the faster innovation. Once your dev team is confident, like I can build solution, I can test on my local, and if it is working, then my automation framework or automated monitoring solution, it will take care of the production systems. It will give me a alert if something goes bad at a very initial state. And that confidence help them to innovate in a faster way. Now, speed, scale, both are fine, but what about the compliance? So, I want to share one of the example. Like I was building one recharge solution where customer can enter the credit card details and then they can recharge. At that time, I was building a solution for a Java phone. I'm talking about 2011. So at that time, the web browser, which is available on Java phones, is it does not allow you to make a post call. It only allows you to make a get call. So user is entering the card details, phone number to which he want to recharge. He's pressing submit. We get a get call, and we see, and in my Nginx, I was logging all the requests which are coming. So actually, I am logging in my logs all the credit card details. The day when I realized, I understood it's a blunder. Like I'm storing all the credit card details in the plain text. But then we fixed it. But, and it's a compliance risk. Like if my regulatory bodies get to know about it, they will shut down our business. Now, what is the solution? This mistake can be done by anyone, right? I did it unintentionally, right? It was not an intentional mistake. So, what is the solution? One of the solution, if some of you might have used AWS, so you can generate AWS SS key, right? And if by mistake, if you add it on any public platform or you commit it, you get an alert, like your keys are exposed somewhere, take some action or replace it. How they do it? They do a scanning. Similar solutions we can implement with the help of DevOps. So these are the 4 pointers where people think compliance is a risk to business. What I'll say is with the help of cloud and DevOps, these can be a business enablers. So first is this data privacy and production. It is the same thing, like in the logs, you should not store in the plain text, those kind of things. Security and encryption is standard. So we can, with the help of your DevOps, you can have scanning your logs or your database at some frequency so that you can get an alert if something goes wrong or if you are doing which you should not do. Audit and monitoring requirement. So it is not okay to be just compliant. You also need to prove your compliance. Like if I know a particular subject, but if I'm not able to pass my exam, my education body will say, no, you don't know this, right? Similarly, following a compliance is okay, but proving a compliance is also required. So how you prove? So organization follow multiple frameworks, like these type of activities are not allowed. For example, logging. So we can have proof, like we do scan every 24 hours or every 6 hours based on the compliance requirement. We do regular check related to the finance, things are okay or not. So all these things can be automated. Multi-cloud complexity. So this is the same thing which I talked about, like in one region you have something available, in some other region it is not available. So those kind of things can only be, these can be fixed manually also, but DevOps can help you to do it faster. So with the help of cloud and DevOps, how we can achieve compliance so that compliance does not become a blocker. we can do it along with it. So these are the 4 parts. First is define compliance and security as a code. So some people say like writing infrastructure as a code. Similarly, compliance and these policy can be written as a code. So these are the some of the example. Second thing is, so I've used numberings. I'm not sure why it is coming as 0. And second is automate compliance and auditing and monitoring. The same way, like every 24 hours you can run, you can scan your logs. Next is secure standard multi-cloud compliance. So by using things like Terraform, you can have a same kind of architecture across environment, whether it is Google, Microsoft, or Amazon. And last is continuous compliance testing in DevOps pipeline. So it is not just okay to be compliant, but you need to prove also. So this continuous compliance testing is also required. People, there are organizations who has a mandate to have an annual audit. So what they do, quarterly they do internal audits, and after a year they do external audit just to solve it. So just concluding all the things, like the key takeaways, first is cloud can enable us for the scalability and flexibility. Like based on your requirement, you can upgrade and downgrade. Cloud computing optimize the cost. If you are not using the hardware, you can shut it down. For the non-critical environment, you can use on-spot instances. So those flexibility is provided by the cloud. DevOps accelerate software delivery, CI/CD part. Developer push the code, he has the confidence, like, okay, if the code goes there, basic things will work. Improve efficiency and reduce error, same thing, testing. Compliance, automation, reduce risk and save time. So we can integrate DevOps, compliance related checks in my DevOps workflow and things will work. And you always have a innovation and competitive advantage. There is a company which is not using DevOps to a full scale. They need a deployment time of say 5 days. You can do it in few hours. That's all for the today presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And if you want to connect offline, like this is my LinkedIn scanner. You can scan. If you have any question, we can connect offline also. Thank you. Yeah. Hmm.
Hi Abhishek.
So, no, your question is like we already deployed some solution in in Middle East area.
Yeah.
So,
So, like, are you using any specific cloud configuration over
okay,
there, or
okay.
like
So,
hybrid or
Saudi
something?
government has a compliance requirement,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you cannot store their data outside their country. So we need to have a setup there. So that was the compliance requirement. So what we have done, we have taken a GCP because AWS is not there.
Yeah.
And all our infra was working on AWS. Now we need to do one-to-one mapping of each and every technology and then do the migration effort. But if initially we have used something like Terraform to create infrastructure based on the script, things would have become very easy for us.
Like standardize it earlier
Right.
and then deploy. Okay.
Okay. So I will say based on the 3 parameters. First is there any variation uh, in your usage? For example, if there is a higher usage during the daytime and the lesser user during the nighttime, right? Second thing is there any compliance requirement? Third is, do you have sufficient manpower to handle your on-premise thing? I think based on these 3, we can. So it is the same thing even on the cloud. You have the reserved instances, you have on-demand instances. So why people use combination of both. So what they do, they plot what is their usage, and whatever is the minimum, they take that section as a reserved usage, and all the spikes they take care via the on-demand thing. And that is why I said hybrid is always a better approach.
Hi, Abhishek. Um, Based on many Gartner or any reports, we have known that 90% of the companies today are in cloud. But they also say that most of the companies, large organizations, are moving back again to on-premises because of couple of challenges of cloud. Even though security compliance improve over the many years, but adoption is the biggest challenge for the large organizations. So how we can balance that approach, or what you suggest that how we can use basically hybrid cloud as you mentioned in the best way? Maybe any suggestions?
Okay, so I'll tell you. So I'll not take the company name, but I was part of one of the migration when this India data compliance happened, like data localization. So Indian government mandated that all the payments data should be stored in India. It should not go outside India. And all our services, they are running in some other region. It's North Virginia, Europe, right? Now we thought, okay, let's migrate to this place. But the challenge was all the services which we are using, those are not available in India. So that was the one thing. So that can be a one reason that people are not comfortable. So the tools which they are getting on the on-premise hardware, they feel more comfortable. The type of manpower they have, they feel more comfortable. But the thing which we need to decide is security. So everyone says, or most of the people say, that if we have things in our control, we can fix them. But to fix them, you need to have that kind of talent also. You need to invest a lot to detect those vulnerabilities and fix it, right? So if you are able to do, on-premise is always good. But if the reason is missing knowledge, you don't have the SMEs, there are some technology challenges. When I say technology challenges, like there is some software which is not available on the cloud. So those are the practical challenges which we need to account. And if you have any specific example, then we can discuss. But these are the practical challenges, but I don't see any other thing uh, that we should use the on-premise.
The main challenges we are facing in our company is basically we use SaaS model a lot for Office 365, but every year I've been asked by CTO and CEO to reduce the licensing cost because that's keep on increasing. So now we are facing the problem of adoption and the training. People, even though we have given them a lot of services, but the usage is less than 20% of those services across our company. So that's the biggest challenge we are facing now.
So one of the analysis which you can do, like the amount of money which we need to spend and how many years or month it will take to recover that cost. If you do that analysis, like it will give more confidence to your stakeholders whether we should pick this item or not. Because in a longer run, on-premise, it is getting difficult to manage. But the another problem is what I see, if everyone moves to the cloud, after 3-4 years, it will be a monopoly of these 4-5 companies. So we need to balance out between both them.
Thank you, Abhishek.
Thank you.
Hello, Abhishek.
Hi.
Nice PPT there. So, with cloud and DevOps emerging, there are so many roles right now: cloud engineer, DevOps engineer, platform engineer, SREs. If you could give an example of how they are different and what should we do if you want to, let's say, go for platform engineer roles? or maybe SRE roles?
Okay. So my take on this is it depends on the organization. So in a startup, a developer does everything. If you go to a company where DevOps team size is say 4 to 5, they divide it in two segments. One is the DevOps engineer, one is the security guy. Then you further divide it. Then it comes one take cares of the all the permissions related thing. They call them admin. Then the DevOps who take cares of the infra. Then there is another security person. When they further expand, so this DevOps part then split it into first is platform. Its responsibility is to make sure that all the servers are having the latest software installed. But what was the other name?
SRE.
Platform is this one, but there is a then application. I'll not call it application engineer. Probably like cloud engineer, I will say, who will help the specific teams to deploy. So, for example, I build one application and I am using MySQL 5.7, which is outdated, right? So it is a responsibility of the platform engineer that he should he should have added those checks that no one should use less than MySQL 8. But for the application engineer, it is okay. Its responsibility is to keep the servers up. So that's how I think. So like platform engineers are part of the global team, and specific to the application, they are dedicated to specific engineering teams.
Understood. What about SRE?
So SRE I covered like in the first part, security part.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, friends, if you have more questions, you may take it up outside of the Audi too. Abhishek, thank you very much.